me. So welcome everybody. This is our final session today in the summit. I hope you've been enjoying it. A few housekeeping items, and I'm sure you're used to seeing this now. We're going to be using the Q&A and the chat. If you haven't already done so, which I think it looks like a lot of you had, change your chat settings so that everyone can see your questions or comments, because we want to get a conversation started. And then I'm not going to be monitoring the raise hand just because there's so many people. There's 58 in here. So we're just going to use the chat and the Q&A. And then Dawn, my friend and colleague, Dawn is going to be answering your questions as we go in the chat. So she's going to do her best to keep up with everybody's questions. And let's move on with that. Oh, you can also turn on closed captioning if you would like to, and you use it in the show captions option. Moving on, what we'll be covering, we're going to do a little welcome introductions, and then I'm going to share my favorite classroom activities from the United States through industrialism, and then we're going to have our closing ceremony, let's just call it that, like the Olympics, and the feedback form. Before we get started, I do want to get a little bit of information from my audience members, from my students. So please, if you don't mind, I'd like to know how long you have been using TCI with US through industrial, for US history. A couple people said it was their first year. Some people might have been using it longer. Feel free to just tell me. Oh, we have three binder teachers. Nice. Love the binders. And you know, it's funny with those binders, people who didn't experience the binders probably are like, what the binders? But the binders were so important because all we had back then, this was before the internet, was a textbook. So these binders had all the activities, the handouts, the stations, and they were just in slides, like slide projector slides, cassette tape. So it was like a breath of fresh air, and you know, bringing more activities and simulations into the classroom. So that's why the binders are so beloved. Yes, the upside down slides. You put it in, the kids are like, it's upside down. Or maybe there was a slide missing and somebody left one in their projector, you know. It was always a little bit of drama. Well, this looks good. So it looks like over a third, it's your first year using TCI. Well, I'm glad you're here. I don't think the binders are still for purchase, unfortunately. There might be some in old school libraries or in media rooms out there in the United States. But we do not publish those anymore. We are upgraded and new and improved. In fact, we do that every year. So, but I do have a few binder teachers, welcome, 6, and then some veteran TCI USI teachers. So thank you for sharing that. And then oh, wait a minute. I didn't share it yet. Here we go. Here are the results, as you can see. Just kind of fun to see. And then I would like you to answer one more question just for fun. This one isn't really about TCI. This is, oh, why isn't it launching? A poll result is being shared. Oh, okay, I see. Stop sharing. We love all these Zoom tools, don't we? What is your favorite content unit in United States? Teaching United States. Which unit is your favorite? I mean, of course, we like all of the units. We don't want to play favorites, but let's be real. Some just we connect with, or we love the activities more, we like the content more, the kids like it more, whatever it is, whatever your reason. Which one is your favorite? And yeah, you can only choose one. You have to make a decision here. Let's see. Keep answering. I think we got a few people left who haven't answered yet. And this is just for fun. You're not being scored on this. We won't hold it against you. Okay, I'm going to end it in 5 seconds. And almost everybody's answered. Looks like we have a lot in common. Sharing the results. Colonies and Revolution and Constitution are kind of tied. Westward expansion looks like it's coming in third. So colonies and revolution, Constitution, second place. Westward expansion, I guess that's fourth place. And then Civil War is the favorite. And then industrialization, uh, to be honest with you, it was really a struggle. It's really a struggle just to get through the Civil War, right? So I mean, industrialization has some great activities, but sometimes we don't always get to it, right? Okay, let's proceed. I'm going to turn this off, close that down, I hope, and would like to just introduce myself. My name is Kim O'Brien, and I met a few of you, or a few of you met me in first period. I'm coming at you from San Jose, California. I've been a teacher since 1995. Which is why I was a binder teacher, because that's what we had. And I've taught middle school my entire career. Most recently in San Jose in Union School District, I taught 8th grade history and 6th grade core, which is what we call that combination of the ELA and history combined with one group of students. So here's some of my kids. I had them, this group specifically I had in 6th grade and then again in 8th grade. So that was really fun. Those little faces. So here we are for middle school US history. One of these should look familiar to you. The California version is the one with the train wheel. I think that's a wheel. I'm not sure what they call it. And then everybody else uses the one with the Manhattan Bridge. Now, the activities in them are very similar. There's just some differences because of California's content standards and frameworks. So what are our components? I'm just going to go over this. I'm not going to pop into each one because most of you are familiar with them, but we have our student edition hard copy textbook. You have your interactive student notebook, which is in paper, or you can print them out PDF. We have our teacher's guide with step-by-step instructions and all sorts of support resources. Then we have our placards, which are used for our social studies skill builders activities. All of these materials are also available in Spanish, and all of the print materials are the exact same on paper as you'll find online in your or your student's digital account. So the first thing I want to share and promote, and if you saw me during first period, you heard this again. This is one of my favorite features of TCI. It's a unit opener. It's a geography challenge, and it is a geographical introduction to the content. Students will label their map and get familiar with where they are in the United States, and then look at it through a more critical eye, where they kind of are predicting or looking at the geography and see how it's going to be affecting the historical content or what's happening. And let's go live, and I'm going to show you just what it looks like. So it's at the beginning of each unit, and there is a short video to introduce the geography challenge. And by the way, just as an aside, all of our videos are 4 minutes or less or fewer. And it is just like an introductory video. And then the students are going to label their maps and then answer some questions about the map that they created. So if you haven't done a geography challenge yet, I really encourage you to try it. It's a great introduction to the unit and incorporates the geography. Let's go back to the slides. Oh, here's an example from one of my students. So this one is from the Expanding Nation unit, and you can see there are things that they have to label on the map, color code. This one, it was about all of the land that was acquired by the United States in the 19th century. And then here are here are the questions. So the beginning part of it is to label the Louisiana Territory, highlight the borders of Texas and the Mexican Cession, draw and label the Old Spanish Trail. So they're doing this with the information they're seeing in their maps, in their text. And then The next page, this is where the magic happens, is critical thinking. Why do you think the Mormon, Oregon, and Santa Fe trails each followed rivers for such a long distance? So they need to think, they're not just memorizing, labeling and memorizing a map. They need to think about the geography. So this is the change. Someone asked me in the chat earlier if this was going to be the same presentation as last year. We're leveling up a little bit this year. We're gonna go a little bit more advanced. You might have noticed that there are sessions in today's summit for, I think we had a social studies skill builder session, and I think we had a response group session, and maybe there might have been a visual discovery as well. I'm not sure. But TCI incorporates 6 different teaching strategies into our programs. So whenever you see a lesson or a class that has all the classroom activities are going to be one of these strategies. Now, I don't want to overwhelm you, but these are already baked in. And once I start talking about them, if you have already used TCI, they're going to sound familiar to you. And what I'm going to do, I think Dawn put a link to that in the chat. Did you do that, Dawn?
Which link? I was answering a question. I'm sorry.
Oh, for the instructional strategies. So there's a PDF link, and then there's also a link to the TCI website that describes them. I'm trying to find.
It's coming in just a moment, Kim. I'll get it.
Okay, thank you. Oh, there's my chat. I couldn't even find the chat. I have too many things open. Um, so we have these 6 strategies, and actually, I'm going to open the link as well here. Thanks for bearing with me. So I have the website, and then we also have a PDF. So here's the PDF. This is one of the links. Now I lost the chat. Oh my gosh, that's okay. So in this document, in the PDF, we have the rationale and the research and the pedagogy behind our program and how we structured it. You'll also see on the next page, the TCI teaching strategies. And these are the 6 different instructional strategies that you'll find in each lesson throughout the program, throughout the K to 12. And then if you go down a little bit further, you'll see each of the strategies described and just how to use them. What are the features of this strategy? And then the other link that Dawn shared with you is just the the website. So it's the website version. But if we go here are all 6 just in a nutshell. So, and I'm just going to go over them I'm just going to do a little blurb for each. Visual discovery, they're going to be interacting with a really vibrant, important image from the content, answering questions, maybe interviewing somebody in the image, that sort of thing. Experiential exercise, these are the simulations where it's fast paced, it's quick. These are the really memorable experiences, kind of like the capture the flag for the revolution. Writing for understanding is going to incorporate usually some stations activity and then a piece of writing about that authentic experience that they had in class. Response group, this is one of my favorite ones. These are small groups where we're having students make choices or make a recommendation to the president based on what they've read and what they've learned about any given content. Problem solving group work is the group work activity where each student is given a specific role, and then they have to come up with a product and present it to the class. And then the social studies skill builder, one of my other favorites. These are the stations activities. I shared one activity in first period that was a social studies skill builder where they're interacting with the placards. They're looking at a primary source image or an artifact, reading about it, and then taking notes. So let's go ahead and jump in. What I did was I went in and chose one activity from each of these strategies, and I'm going to show it to you, one of my favorite activities, but for one for each strategy. So I'm going to show you each of these activities, and then you can see the difference between the how it looks in class. So let's go ahead and start with Andrew Jackson and the growth of American democracy. Has anyone taught this lesson before and done the visual discovery? If you have in the chat, go ahead, throw it in the chat if you have. Okay, thanks, Laura. So I'm going to just, by the way, I'm not talking about the whole thing this year, but the preview for this one is really good too. It has some music. It kind of previews the visual discovery aspect with analyzing the images, but it also has 2 songs. I love this preview. But so we can fit everything in, I'm going to jump straight to the activity itself. So, and you can see, and you might have noticed this before, maybe you haven't, but now you will notice it when you're in these slides. It will tell you what kind of activity it is. This one is a visual discovery. Um, as you know, as I hope you know, each one of our lessons has a interactive classroom activity that's already made for you with a slideshow that you can project to help you facilitate the activity in class. So what I've done here is this is the slideshow for this lesson, Andrew Jackson, and now I forgot the full, and the growth of American democracy. That one's kind of a long one. So here's the activity itself. Today we will examine images related to the presidency of Andrew Jackson. You'll analyze these images to assess how he impacted democracy. Then we will bring 2 of them to life in a presentation. One group member will act as a reporter who will interview one or more of the historical figures. So we're looking at different aspects of Andrew Jackson's presidency, and we're starting with the inauguration. So these will be following the reading sections, which is nice because the reading, again, in this activity is chunked by sections. So they're not reading the whole lesson from beginning to end. So we're going to start with this image. We're telling them what it is, find 3 interesting and unique details in the image. So the first thing they have to do, they don't know anything about it, they haven't read it yet. They're just going to point out some interesting details. By the way, whenever you see this orange box in the top right-hand corner, this is a teacher note. So this is just a little bit of help for you. You can look at these before class or you can pop them open during class. So this is just a note for you. So then they're going to read the section about Andrew Jackson's inauguration and then take the notes. And this one's nice because it has the talk bubbles. These sections have talk bubbles from the common perspective, and the upper, now my draw thing is missing, is covering an upper class perspective. So I like the talk bubbles. Now we're going to have a reporter interview people representing the perspectives of historical voters from the painting from the inauguration. So they're going to be the reporter interviewing the banker or the farmer from the frontier. Your group will represent one of these 2 voters' perspectives. So here we have a handout, and this is what you're going to handouts. You usually have to copy and then give one to each group or to each partner pair. And these are their instructions. So we have 2. So there's 2 images that we're going to be bringing to life. The first one is Jackson's inauguration. I'm going to enlarge that for you. So each group is going to be assigned either the farmer or the banker. And then what they're going to do with their group is they're going to discuss the questions and prepare the responses with their group so that so the teacher can call on any of the students and they will be prepared, front loaded with these answers for the reporter's interview. And then be for sure everyone can answer the questions. These steps are the same as in the handout. Circle the historical figure, discuss the questions, and then discuss how the person, who is chosen to present can represent the perspective of your figure. Collect any props you need. So then this is the acting as a reporter scene. And this is where you're going to find representatives of 2 bankers and 2 farmers. And then these are going to be the reporter's questions are going to be the questions that are from the handout. So you're going to be asking them, what hopes might you have for Jackson's presidency? And remember, they've already gone through the answers. So we're going to have the students come up to share their assigned person's perspective. And again, here, you may wish to play the role of interviewer or choose a student to play this role. Be sure the interviewer has a copy of the handout. So we just go through and you'll answer, you'll ask, or the reporter, the interviewer will ask, and then they'll go over the questions from the handout. And then we have, so that was the acted out or the visual discovery for that. Then we have Jackson's approach to governing, and we have another image for the visual discovery. And when you see these plus signs, it gives you some suggested responses. And this is about the second section. Well, okay, it's section 3 apparently. Read section 3. So this one, they just do that one, look at it again. So they're going to look at it after they've read about it too. So they're going to preview it, then do the reading, and then look at it again now that they've done the reading. Same with the nullification crisis. They're going to preview it, make some predictions, then they're going to read about it, and then they're going to go back to it. And then there is a second scene that they are going to, oh, then we have the battle with the bank, same preview, questions, go back to it. And then there is a second interview scene with around Jackson's Indian policy. So that is visual discovery. They're interacting with those big images. The second strategy is a social studies skill builder. And this type of lesson uses those placards that came with your kit or that you can print out on your materials tab on the lesson overview page. So again, there's going to be a preview in vocab here, but I'm going to jump straight to the activity. And as you can see on this slide, it says social studies skill builder. So if you've ever seen this and you're like, what is that about? Or maybe you weren't because you're like, I need to teach. It doesn't matter to me what it's about. Now you know. So in this lesson, you'll examine several images to discover a variety of Mexicano contributions to the Southwest. You'll learn how the contributions have influenced life in the United States. And we're going to model one for them. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at this image with the class. We're doing this as a whole class. What details do you see? Which details do you think are Mexicano contributions? How do you think this contribution may have influenced settlers in the Southwest in the 1800s? So as an aside, when you see questions like this 3 in a row, and we have this a lot, in fact, we have it in most of the classroom activities, you'll notice that these questions are spiraling in complexity. We're just asking them the first question, what do you see? Then we're kind of turning up the volume a little bit. What details do you think might be contributions? And then really a deeper level question, how do you think this contribution may have influenced settlers? And then we find out it's mule trains. So then they talk about the atajo or mule train and talk about what it is and why it was important. So now that we've demoed that, we are going to have the placards placed around the room, just like on this map. Well, as much as you can, there's usually a classroom map how to set it up, but of course you can set it up however you'd like. If you'd rather put them on the desks, if it's up to you, but this is just a suggested way. So they're placed around the room and you are going to be working with a partner. What details do you see in the image? What details do you think are contributions, and how do you think it may have influenced settlers? So the same 3 questions that we are looking here, they're going to be doing with their partner on each placard. And let me just show you them. The questions are on the placards here too. So these are posted on the wall and the questions are there. So they're going to be looking at the image and then answering the questions with their partner. So you can keep these instructions on your screen as students are working. Once they finish the first couple, what I would like to do is put on a timer so that they kind of stay on track and that everybody's at about the same place in terms of pacing. And then let me show you, I want to show you what the notebook looks like for this because they're going to be taking their notebook with them to the stations and when they go back and read. And this is a nice table. Oh, okay. Wow. So this is oh my goodness, what's happening here? My Wi-Fi is not happy today. Here's the notebook. And you can see there is a table. So, and when after they read about mining and look at the image on placard A and read section 1, they're going to fill this out. The details, so this is aligned to the questions, the details they think are contributions, and then they're going to read it, give 3 or more examples of details from this section. And then this is a 2-page spread. Describe how they influence settlers in life in the United States, and then create a symbol. So these are the notes they're going to be taking after they've examined the image, discussed the image, and read the section. Very typical social studies skill builder. Okay, let's go to the next one. How am I on time? Okay, I'm okay. We can keep forging ahead. I hope I can get to all of them. My third one is experiential exercise. And this is really a fan favorite, like TCI classic activity where we have the simulation. This one is one of my favorite activities, and it is from the unit on launching the new republic and discussing the differences between the Federalist position and the Democratic Republican position. Students are going to be having a talk it out debate representing either Thomas Jefferson or Alexander Hamilton. You, as your assigned historical figure, you will debate key issues that divided the Democratic Republicans and Federalists. But before we begin, of course, let's gather some background from the reading. So in order to do this debate, they're going to do some reading, launching the new government, taking notes, Washington talk. This is about the first cabinet. And then we're gonna set up the room and so that they can debate head to head. Then they're going to take their notes in talk bubbles about Alexander Hamilton, either the Federalist position or the Democratic Republican position. So they're going to take these notes and then about Jefferson and the Democratic Republicans. And then there's a portrait that you can cut out for students to hold. That's optional. If you want to use it, go for it. If you don't want to use it and just have them debate, you can do that. And then here's where we start the debate. So remember, they're sitting face to face. One side of the room is representing Hamilton. The other side, the facing side, is representing Jefferson. If you're representing Hamilton's perspective, stand up and recite the Federalist slogan together. Born to rule, we know what we need. With a strong central government, we will succeed. So it's really fun to have them make sure they're standing up, saying it in unison, and being emphatic about it. And the first time, of course, they might just be like, blah, 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 but then, just encourage them to keep going because it kind of gets them fired up, ready for the debate. And then Jefferson's, you do the same thing. We know what we need from day to day. Don't try to rule us from far away. And then sit back down. So now they've been standing up, they've been saying the slogan and they're ready to get at it. Now we're going to debate 4 issues from the perspective of Jefferson and Hamilton. The first issue is view of human nature. Let's begin the debate. Hamilton starts this debate, so it's going to alternate who starts it. Stand up and read your prompt aloud together. So there's a prompt in the student note, and actually I think it's in the handout, and I'm going to show it to you momentarily, that they're going to read from. They've taken notes from the text in these talk bubbles, so they'll have these sentence starters in their notebook and then fill it in. And then they're just going to go back and forth. People are selfish. For that reason, we can't give too much power to the common people. So they've stood up. They're sitting down. Now Jefferson's all stand up. And it's really important to have them say it all in unison because it's more fun and they get really excited about it. The common people are best suited to govern because, and again, they've taken their notes so they know what they've already filled this out, what they're going to say. And the Hamiltons also have a response written in their notes. So you have them debate for maybe a minute because they only remember, they only have a little bit of notes, so they can go back and forth for about a minute. And then you cut them off. And let me tell you, it gets pretty heated. But you cut them off, and then you can debrief the main positions. Then we go to the next issue, best form of government. So then we have Jefferson start the next round, and then they go with the prompt, and then the sentence starter, and then they do the same thing. So let me show you what it looked like in with my students, not that one, this one. Okay. So here are the notes. You can see there are sentence starters here. And it's really helpful if they write, the more they write, because then they'll be able to debate longer. And then you'll notice on the desk, this is my class a couple of years ago. You'll notice on the desk, there's a blue sheet. That's the sheet that has like the slogan and the sentence starters, and then they turn to their notes to fill in when they're starting to debate. Um, it gets really, it's loud. It's fun. But it's pretty much 100% engagement. And do they remember about the Federalist and Democratic Republican differences? Yes, they do. Has anyone done this activity? Put it in the chat if you've done this one.
Kim, there's a question
Yeah.
in the Q&A, your suggestion if you feel like this activity would be best on paper rather than digitally, or just your thoughts on one versus the other?
Oh, great question. Yeah, I would say because of the nature of the actual activity, for me, I prefer having the paper in front of them instead of looking at a screen. It's also nice because the bubbles are right there lined up, right? So that you can just go to the next topic of debate and it's already on their paper. Now, of course, you can do it either way, whatever works for you. But even if you only have digital accounts and you don't have the paper notebook like what I had done, I didn't want them to have their whole notebook on their desk. I made copies and had them do it just on a single piece of paper. Actually, it might have been two-sided or three pages, but it's really helpful to have just the paper on the desk, as you might have guessed. So hopefully that answers your question. Yeah, I agree. I think it's nice to have just the paper on there. Okay, moving on. Next, oh, I went the wrong way on my slides. Um, next item, next lesson for writing for understanding. And my recommendation is growing sense of nationhood. There are a few that are really good in the program. African Americans in the 1800s in the mid 1800s is also good. But I'm going to show you growing sense of nationhood. This is in the unit about launching the Republic, and it's like a culture activity. So students are experiencing three different areas of American culture. They're doing art, they're looking at art. And actually, let me back up here. So writing for understanding is going to be the culminating activity here. We're going to give them an authentic experience that they will then be able to write about. And in this activity, there's three phases. They go to an art exhibit and they're examining early art of the 1800s. So they're going to do that first and looking at the placards. So it's kind of like a mini social studies skill builder for this phase. And they're just looking at characteristics of early American art, what makes it American. And so this is kind of a little mini social studies skill builder. So there's a lot in this. And then there's a second phase, and they're going to a cotillion. And so they're actually going to learn to do a little dance. So they read about it first. They're going to read about early American music and just characteristics of early American music. And then they're going to get a handout that has some dance steps for them to create their own dance. So the instructions say for them to use groups of 4 for their dance. I ended up dividing the class into three groups and doing three stations instead of doing everything all at once, if this makes sense. And so it was a third of the class putting a dance together. And then here's the handout that shows them different dance moves. And they're a little bit not really sure what the movement's supposed to be but I just told them take what you want, make it your own, just do a dance, do a group dance. And they turned out really fun. As you might have seen in my slides, I do have a video of one of the groups dancing, and I'd love to share it with you. When they have a final pose. I think they got that final pose from um this, where was it? This. I think they thought that this was that final pose. But as you can see, this was a boy heavy class, first of all. But this was really fun, and it's going to be one of those activities that they remember, right? Um, so wait a minute, let me close that one. So that is the cotillion part. So they're learning about early American music. And here's the song. You can play it in class when the students are doing their dance. And then the third phase is a literary gathering. So they're going to be examining early American literature and what was the characteristic of early American literature and specific authors. Then they're given excerpts from these literature pieces and trying to match the excerpt with the book. So we don't often get to teach literature in history. This is nicely embedded in there for you. So they've done these three phases. Now they're going to pretend or suppose that they're Alexis de Tocqueville, um, and writing a chapter on recreating a lost chapter from his book about Americans' growing national identity. The chapter should answer the essential question, what did it mean to be American in the 1800s? So that's really what they're writing about. So this is going to be their writing piece. And then they get a handout for creating steps for creating chapter of a book. So really specific instructions on how to do that writing piece. I feel like I'm kind of breaking up here. And you're going to peer review your first draft, exchange drafts with a partner, and here are all the instructions for you to tell students what they're going to be working on. Could you possibly have students write this with a partner of their choosing? Absolutely. Sometimes it's nice and it's a little bit more motivating for them to do something like this, especially if they've experienced all of the stations with a partner or with a classmate. So that is writing for understanding. And you can see that the writing piece is just kind of the end of it. There's all sorts of other activities and strategies built into the writing for understanding instructional strategy. And let's see. Oh my gosh. Okay, we're almost out of time, huh? For response group, which is one of my favorite strategies, maybe I think might be my favorite. I have a tie. In fact, there are three that I could have chosen from. The Bill of Rights and the era of reform. And I'm going to show you the Bill of Rights because it's pretty straightforward and you'll get to see just what it's about. So again, here we go. Activity, response group. You will play a game, Do They Have the Right? You'll work in teams of 3 and read about Supreme Court cases related to rights and freedoms protected by the Bill of Rights. In each case, you must determine whether the person or people have that right and then provide a justification for your answer using information from the reading in your reading notes. Then you'll debate the answers with the other groups before learning the outcome of each case. Get into groups of 3 assigned by your teacher. So, of course, first they're going to take notes about the Bill of Rights, what's in it, how it came about. And then here's round 1. Do they have the right? You're going to present this class to them the facts of the case. So these are real Supreme Court cases, and all of them are about teens, which is really nice. The United States, and of course, this is the Tinker versus Des Moines case, but you're just presenting the facts of the case. And then this is the constitutional issue they're going to have to decide on with their group. Do the students have the right to wear black armbands to school? Why or why not? And they need to come to consensus. They're in a group of 3. They need to come to consensus. And then after after a few minutes, kids are going to, and when you're walking around and listening to their discussions, you're going to notice probably 100% engagement on this, because this is about school uniforms. What freedoms do students have? They love this. And then when you hear that they're coming to consent, most are coming to consensus, give a warning, 1 minute, whatever, then you're going to come together back together as a class. If your group thinks the students have this right, stand up and say they have the right. So you'll have the groups that think they have the right, stand up and say it together and make sure that they're emphatic about it. And then the same thing, then have them sit down, and then have the groups that think the students don't have the right stand up and say, no, they don't. Then you're going to debate the issue as a class. Each group is going to share their reasons for how they decided that way. The role of presenter is going to rotate each round, so that each time the student who's presenting is new, but also they've already gotten all the information during that discussion. So they're front loaded with their reasons and with their decision. So they're already have that information. So they each report, and then they call on the next presenter. So you're basically just kind of standing to the side and listening to what's going on, and then they're calling on the next group. Then you're going to take a final class vote. Maybe some have changed their mind based on what information has been presented. And then you reveal the actual decision of what the court said. And there are a few different cases in here. The first 2 are about the First Amendment, and then same procedure. And then you're going to discuss round 1 about the First Amendment. Next one is about Second and Third Amendments. And this one is about the Fourth Amendment. Actually, the next section, I think, also includes the Fourth Amendment. And then we're going to talk about students getting their backpack searched. So, do you think that they might be interested in this topic? Yes, they definitely are. And so that's how it goes. So things you might notice about response group, groups of 3. Now, I have teachers ask me this every time I show this, but Kim, I have my table group set up in 4s. Can I do groups of 4? And I tell them, well, you can, but 3 is really more ideal for a couple of reasons. Like, first of all, 3 is an odd number. So if they're voting on which way they should go, there won't be a tie. The other thing about 3s versus 4s is in a group of 4, that quiet kid or someone maybe who's not, doesn't, doesn't have the confidence to talk is going to be able to sit back. But in a group of 3, you kind of need to engage, and maybe that quiet kid will feel more comfortable in a smaller group. So the grouping of a response group with 3 is actually pretty important. So if you could just rearrange your desks or have them move chairs, it's 100% worth it. Another of my favorites is Era of Reform. And in that activity, students are reading excerpts from the Declaration of Sentiments and then comparing to facts about women in the United States today and deciding to what extent the grievances from the Declaration of Sentiments have been redressed. This is a fantastic activity or reform. The last one is problem solving group work. And this one, as I mentioned before, is about group activity. Each group is given a topic, a different topic in a problem solving group work. Each group is given a different topic and then presents their product to the class. So you're not getting 8 presentations of the same thing. You're getting 8 different presentations. And you'll also notice that in problem solving group work, students are assigned roles so that it's clear what each person is responsible for, and one person doesn't end up doing all the work. Because believe you, that was me when I was in middle school. So it's always reviewing the roles, choosing roles, learning about the group. So they have to read the section of their assigned group. Then they're going to create a storyboard that outlines a documentary. This is about groups that moved west. And then they're going to write a script about the documentary. They're going to prepare props, sound effects, rehearse, and then present it to the class. They have a lot of fun with this. With that, I think we're about out of time because I am going to need to get you to all of the fun things, including the feedback form. So I hope that you found something that you can use and that you're excited to use this year. And I'd like to just encourage you to try something new. Just go for it. Sometimes, it's scary. It's easy to say, no, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. But you just kind of have to go for it with these. And what you're going to find, I think, is that if you're having fun teaching, then the kids are going to have fun learning. So just keep that in mind. Dawn is dropping in the chat the feedback form so you can get your PD credit and your I think we're offering some swag. I'd like to invite you to join our closed Facebook group where teachers share resources and ask questions. And FYI, I'm the moderator of the Facebook group, so I will answer your question if somebody else doesn't. We also have an new Instagram. Professional development in our program is really a great resource if you need a refresher for how to do an assignment, how to customize assessments. It's up here in the purple sidebar. Highly recommend the professional development. What else do we got going on here? Okay. Oh my gosh. Let's see. Oh, and then if you share your fun moment and you do a hashtag for TCI Summit 25, you'll be entered into a drawing for a $100 gift card. And even better than that $100 gift card, the TCI Llama. So be sure to tag us in social media today and talk about what are you excited to learn, what is something fun that you learned about, what are you excited to try, what are you excited to learn or do. And then of course here, if you fill out the survey, then you will be you'll get your certificate of attendance, and you're going to get, our swag is the TCI branded playing cards and set of dice. So I don't know that I have let me see if I have my slides that are, I know I did link all of those. I'll give you the link to the slides here too. I don't know that I have it shared, but I will if they aren't already shared. Did that go? My Wi-Fi is really slow for some reason. So thank you, everyone. Thanks for coming today. Thank you for everything you do in the classroom. We couldn't do it without you. So thanks again, and we'll have a great school year, and we'll see you on the socials. I think they'll send you the certificate in your email, Colleen. I don't know if there's a code. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, everybody.